Hi, I'm Rick Kaler. Thanks for joining me. The concept of Medicare for all is getting a lot of attention in the 2020 presidential race. Senator Elizabeth Warren's promise that Medicare for all will not cost the middle class one penny has a lot of appeal. While most Americans support providing free medical care to those who need it most, making it with no additional cost to the middle class would be something never before accomplished by any country that has universal health care. The middle class in those countries pay income taxes of up to 40%, which basically the most wealthy Americans pay here. That's the rate the middle class pays in other countries. And they also have a national sales tax equivalent to 15 to 25% of every purchase. That's 3 to 5 times what we pay in the U.S. Now, recently Senator Warren revealed how she's going to finance this plan without any additional cost to the middle class. She estimates the cost of Medicare for all over a decade will be $20 trillion in new federal spending. Estimates by 6 independent financial organizations are 40 to almost 100% higher, from 28 trillion to 36 trillion. So here are some of the general provisions of her tax plan. First, she would tax both employers and employees with an amount equal to what they're currently paying in health insurance premiums. And this will bring in $11 trillion. That's certainly no additional cost. She would then increase taxes on the top 1% of individuals and large corporations to generate $7 trillion. Here's where the rub is, and I'll get into that in just a bit. The balance of the money needed, which would be 2 to 18 trillion, depending on whether you believe Mrs. Warren's numbers or the other 6 independent estimates, would come from newfound efficiencies, tax enforcement, and reductions in wasteful spending. From what I read, there's widespread doubt that this is even remotely possible. A Forbes article describing those tax increases aimed at the wealthy really caught my attention. So here's what those increases include. Adding a wealth tax of 2 to 6% on a household net worth above $50 million. Definitely belongs to the wealthy. Eliminating the favorable tax rate on capital gains. No, it's going to hit the middle class. Increasing the Obamacare tax from 3.8% to 14.8% on net investment income above $250,000. A huge tax increase, but won't hit the middle class. Eliminating the step-up in basis for inheritors. Definitely will hit the middle class. Increasing the salary subject to Social Security from $132,900, almost doubling it to $250,000. Now that's about a 14.3% additional tax on anything above $132,900. Depends what your definition of middle class is. Probably not middle class in Rapid City, South Dakota, but probably middle class in New York City. Lowering the estate tax exemption from $12 million to $7 million probably doesn't hit the middle class. And establishing a financial transaction tax of 10 basis points, that's 0.1%. That will definitely hit the middle class. So the capital gains tax increase, the step up in basis, and the financial transaction tax will all affect middle class investors, and potentially will include anyone with a 401k or an IRA. The American Retirement Association estimates that the financial transaction tax alone will cost the average 401k or IRA investor over $1,500 a year. Diana Howland, Vice President of the Legislative Affairs at the American Benefits Council, cited in an article in Investment News called the proposal not a great thing to do to the middle class. Well, the 0.1% financial transaction tax doesn't sound like a lot of money, does it? What's far more damaging than it might seem at first glance. It applies to the buying and selling of all securities that are sold or purchased within a mutual fund or an ETF, as well as purchases and sales of those funds by investors. So by my calculations, that tax could easily add 0.2 to 0.3 a year to every fund investment. Now, given that some index mutual funds only charge 0.1%, that's their total expenses for the year, or 0.1%. The new cost is going to be somewhere between 0.3 and 0.4%. That's a 200 to 300% increase in fund costs. That's a big deal. Then we have eliminating the step up in basis on inheritance and eliminating the favorable capital gains tax rate. This is also going to affect the middle class. According to a 2013 survey by HSBC Bank, retirees in America expected to leave their heirs an average of $177,000. Now, if the average basis on that inheritance is 1/2 of what's inherited, the elimination of the step up in basis and the capital gains tax is going to cost middle class investors $10,000 to $20,000 more in taxes on that inheritance. Senator Warren's proposed tax increases will affect the middle class as well as the wealthy. They also fall short of covering the estimated cost of her plan. Assuming then that Medicare for All could be implemented with no increase in federal income or sales taxes for the middle class may well be a pipe dream. Thanks for joining me.